Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. I am Shelby of Shelby and the Book Club, and today we are going to talk all things comfort reads. So recently in a video, and by recently I mean like in the last month, I mentioned that I have comfort reads. So it's about 5 or 6 books that I listen to throughout the year whenever I get into a funk, or maybe depression is hitting a little bit harder than usual, or the anxiety is whooping my ass and I need something that feels like home, that isn't necessarily new, because sometimes new books can send me into like I'm learning a whole bunch of new things, and a lot of the times when I need a comfort read, it's because there's too much newness in my mind. So if you would like to hear about my comfort reads, here you go. So all of these books are actually audiobooks, and if you've been following me for a while, that is going to shock you, because audiobooks are not my go-to. So believe it or not, I don't necessarily have, maybe I do have copies of all of these. I don't know. I feel like I don't have copies of all of them, so I will be putting on the screen pictures of the covers, and I will try to remember to put them in the underneath bar as well, so that if you guys need links and want to purchase any of these books, you can. So like I explained a few seconds ago, comfort reads are reads that I listen to multiple times a year. So they're books that I've read already, that I absolutely love, that I would consider some of my favorites, that I just go back to all the time. Even though I know the characters, even though I know what's going to happen, I still can listen to them eagerly like I don't know what's going on. So first on the list is going to be 7 Days in June. As you guys know, I have been raving about this book since I read it. It is a romance, which is far-fetched for me because I usually do not like romance novels, but I can listen to that audiobook on a consistent loop and still be in awe of the different situations. I have favorite chapters that I like to listen to. 7 Days in June is about a single mother who is an author, and when she was in high school, she fell in love with someone and they ran away together for 7 days. On the 7th day, something happened, and then they didn't see each other until like 10 or 11 years later. And the book goes back and forth between their 7 days in June all those years ago and the present, and them trying to rekindle their love and learning about themselves and all of this stuff. And it really is an amazing book. An amazing book. I think one thing that makes a book a favorite for me is the ability the author has to transport me. And I felt like I was in the book watching them, like walking next to them, like, what now, girl? What we doing? Like, I really thoroughly enjoyed that book. So 7 Days in June is on the top of my list. Next, we're going to talk about one of my favorite authors, Neil Gaiman. Oh my gosh. I don't know if I've talked about this here on this channel or if I've talked about it on Instagram, probably on Instagram. I absolutely love Neil Gaiman, and I can listen to 2 books by him over and over and over again. One being American Gods. I am obsessed with American Gods. I think the show is really good too. If you maybe don't necessarily want to read the book, but you want to read the show, want to watch the show, I think the show did a very, very good job. But American Gods is basically the old gods versus the new, and the new gods being the internet, technology, so on and so forth, and kind of just going between like what a war between the new gods and the old gods would look like in today's age. Neil Gaiman has a way with words. I feel like everybody wants to write about mythology, right? And I think it's really, really hard to do because we all know the stories. We had to read the Iliad. We had to read, all of the Greek mythology. Then in college, depending on what you decided to study, you ventured into Indian mythology, possibly. You ventured into Norse mythology, possibly. So I feel like it's really hard to make something that we already know more interesting, and he did that. And there's just something about the American Gods audiobook that is just so soothing to me. I know the story. I watched the show. I even can say that I rewatched the American Gods show fairly often, at least maybe once or twice a year. Just because I miss it. I miss the characters. Odin is my man. Okay. I love Odin so much. I feel like he is a god that is slept on because he's petty and he's childish and he does not care. He is the god of all gods. And how dare you do anything that goes against what he wants or anything like that. I love me some Odin. Oh my gosh. And I think he was portrayed very well in the show. I didn't like the way that the series ended, but I understood. And then the second book by Neil Gaiman that I like, obviously, Norse mythology. I love his take on Loki. I love the different stories that he brings up. I feel like Norse mythology isn't a mythology that we necessarily talk enough about. And I love it. There's a lot of mythology that we don't talk enough about, African mythology to be very specific. But I love Norse mythology. I love the idea that they were just up in the stars, just doing whatever they saw fit. Absolutely loved it. So those are two Neil Gaiman books that I listen to multiple times throughout the year when I need something to listen to. Next, Their Eyes Were Watching God by the queen of my life, Zora Neale Hurston. I can't even really begin to tell you why I love that book so much. It is a book that has always felt like home to me. It is the depiction of a woman character that is just doing what she wants with no never mind. And maybe I do like romance, because her finding love and what that means to her, and I love that book so much. I love that book so stinking much. Oh my gosh. And I think before I read the book, we watched the movie. I feel like I watched the movie in school when we probably had no business watching that movie. And I remember watching the movie and being like glued to the TV, because when I was a kid, when they rolled the TV into the classroom, because if you're young watching this, we didn't just have TVs in the classrooms like y'all do nowadays. They had to roll this big TV with a VCR. We didn't have DVD players until I got a bit older. A VCR. And there was a tape that you had to put in the thing. They had to roll the... Anyway, usually when they rolled that TV in there, I was going to sleep. You put a TV in front of me, I'm going to sleep. Point blank, period. But that movie, like, glued. I've always loved the story. I feel like Zora Neale Hurston was able to write about the South in a way that was tangible. Again, the same thing that I keep saying about all of the books that I love. I felt transported. I felt like she took me, she picked me up, and she placed me right next to this character. Like, she was like, okay, here you go. You are her buddy now, and you will travel with her through this part of her life. It just was so good. So, so good. All right, I have my notebook here just so I'm not missing anything. So we talked about 7 Days in June. We talked about American Gods. We talked about Norse mythology. And we talked about Their Eyes Are Watching God. The last book, and then I have some honorable mentions too. But the last book that we are going to talk about, The 12 Tribes of Hattie. It is such a heart-wrenching story. If you have not read The 12 Tribes of Hattie, and blah, 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 blah. If you have not read The 12 Tribes of Hattie, say that 7 times fast. You have to. You have to. You absolutely have. You have to. You have to. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. You absolutely, you have to. You have to. You absolutely have to. It is the story of a woman, and then it goes on to tell the story of her children as well, all individually, and the things that they go through. So her getting pregnant, her moving away from her family, and then all of her children, because she had a gang of them, and the different things that they go through dealing with being adults, trying to find out what they want to do, their sexuality, all of this stuff. And again, I feel like character building is not easy. I feel like building a character from scratch is not easy, right? And to be able to transport me with 12 different, like, a few times a year, I have to listen to the 12 Tribes of Hattie because I miss them. I want to know if they are well. I want to know what they're doing. I want to know if they are okay. I sincerely do. So those are the ones for a fact that I listen to all the time. Some honorable mentions that I'm going to throw in there. The Game of Thrones books. Baby, they are messy. But reading them was hell on earth for me. Listening to them, awesome. 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 I cannot say that again. Awesome. Okay. I'm trying to think, is there anything else? I think those are my honorable mentions. All the Game of Thrones books, I can put those on, and if I need to get something done, I need to be listening to, want background noise while I'm doing something, that's what I'm going to listen to. So let me know in the comments, do you yourself have any comfort reads? If you do, tell me what they are. If you don't have comfort reads, but now you're interested in kind of what would my comfort reads be, let me know what you come up with. I really, really want to know. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and to share. And you guys know what I'm going to say next. If no one has told you today, I love you. You are so kind. You are so smart. You are so important to me. Bye, guys.